Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith Kitchen, as always. And today, you were originally going to see how to make a butter pecan cake, but due to technical difficulties with my laptop and the fact that I've been shooting on my camera versus my phone, I have no way of uploading the stuff off of my camera on onto anything. My other laptop, my old laptop, doesn't accept the program, or there is no program for my camera on that laptop, so I have no way of uploading it. So that you'll see at a future date. But you know what? It's okay because I have had a thought in my head for a minute now, and it's all based around cheesecake. I love cheesecakes. All kinds of cheesecakes, any kind of cheesecake. There's a million of them to choose from, and I mean, I've probably got 20 on my channel alone. Well, we're about to do another one today because, man, nothing screams warmer weather like key lime pie, and nothing says I love cheesecake like cheesecake. So I thought to myself, man, I want to make a key lime cheesecake. What a thing to make. That sounds amazing. And there's a handful of recipes on the interweb. And I looked at them all and found something I think, I like that I'm not really making it my own, but, it's close to the original recipe. And I'll, somewhere either here or down in the description, I'll leave you the link to the site that I was on for it. Because I really offhand don't remember the name of it. But, it just screams key lime pie and cheesecake, right? So I thought this would be an awesome thing to get started with. And cheesecakes are easy. Excuse me. People are fearful of them. And I think it's because of the water bath technique and the way you have to try to look at it to get it done. And they are kind of time consuming in the, hurry up, get it made and wait factor. But it's okay because you can go on about your day, and if you make it early enough in the day, say Saturday morning, you could, or like today, which is my Sunday morning, I'm making this now, it'll be ready to go by dinner time. 8 hours in the fridge after a couple hours here and there of cooling down slowly. So that being said, I'm not going to delay on this. Just don't forget to like, subscribe, share, notification bell right next to the subscribe box. If you haven't done so already, I appreciate every new subscriber. I appreciate everybody. Honestly, you take a minute out of your day or an hour sometimes to spend with me. That's awesome. I don't take that for granted by any means. But let's grow the community. Get us out in the algorithm. Like, share, subscribe, and notification bell. If you're so inclined, please. That being said, I will give you all your measurements in cups, tablespoons, teaspoons, if you are new. I also give them in grams. That way, everybody can play along. And like I've said in the last few videos, if there is a third way or a different way to measure, let me know down in the comments. I will be more than happy to try to add that in. So that way even more people can play along no matter where you're at. But anyhow, that being said, let's get down to the counter and start making a cheesecake because I think this is going to be amazing and we don't want to lollygag on this one. All right, hold on for me just 1 second. Okay, we're down here on the counter and we'll quickly go over some things we'll need because we got to make the crust first, right? So one of the first things we'll need in this endeavor is a 9-inch springform pan. 9-inch springform. Springform means that you can take it apart, right? That way you can get it off the sides. It makes it easier to get your cheesecake out. Now they do make cheesecake pans. I'm learning that don't do that. And I don't know if I'd trust myself to do that. I don't know how you get it out. But anyhow, springform pan, 9-inch. You will also need, as I always say, a scale. Accuracy is the key. I have found in the few years I've been baking now that grams are much more accurate than cups, tablespoons, teaspoons, and scales aren't expensive. I mean, you can pick one up for like 20 bucks. This one is a Cuisinart. Not that I'm sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by anybody. But it's a pretty good scale. It comes with a bowl that sits on top that I don't hardly ever use, but it has one. And it's pretty accurate. So I'm digging it. But, and it it wasn't. I think this one was like 45, 50 bucks. My last one that I had forever, which I still have, was like $20. So they're not expensive. To make the crust, I need a bowl, and you can do this all in the processor. I just seem to have the worst luck with it. And a food processor. We're doing a graham cracker crust for this. I love graham cracker crust. So the first thing we're gonna do, might as well just jump right into it, because I mean, really, that's all we need to make the crust with, is we need 2 cups, about 230 grams of graham crackers, and use whoever's graham crackers you want. It's about 15 graham crackers total, but that's going to vary on whose brand did you buy. They're not uniform. You know, how long have they been sitting around? What's the humidity like? So that's why I'm giving you the grams and the cups also, but it's roughly 15 graham crackers, and we're just going to break them up and put them in here. Now, let's say you don't have a food processor. No problem. All you have to do is put these in a baggie and take your favorite hammer, you know, or a rolling pin, or whatever it is you have nearby, meat mallet, and pretend that it's somebody you don't like and just pulverize them. That's what we're looking for. It's okay to have some somewhat big chunks in it, but, yeah, you want to get them pulverized as good as possible. Got those all smushed up, so now we're just going to take this and we're just going to pulse it until until these graham crackers are all pulverized, and down to like a crumb. We got those pulverized. One thing we got to do that I forgot, we got to turn our oven on. 350 degrees. Go ahead and get that started. And we're going to be a minute getting the crust together. But now that we've got our graham crackers pulverized, I am done with the almighty food processor. So we can get this out of the way. We'll just put our graham cracker crumbs into a bowl. Get rid of the food processor for the moment. All right, there we go. All right, so we got our crumbs, right? And I'm gonna grab a glove. So this is the part you can do in the processor. I just don't. To this, first thing I'm gonna add is, in this container, I've actually got 2 things in here. I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of salt sitting up there, which you can actually see. That's kind of cool. And it's 1 gram, and I've got 3 tablespoons, 45 grams of just pure granulated sugar. Now, you can put that in the mixer with the graham crackers. I just forgot. And we're going to give that a good mix right quick. And then to this, we are going to add 8 tablespoons, 114 grams of melted butter. All right, and you don't want it to be blazing hot when it comes, when you pour it in here. I mean, you could. It's not going to hurt anything. But if you do this by hand, it's going to be hot. You don't want it hot. And then I'm just simply going to mix this up. All right, we got this mixed up. Looking good. There we are. And so here's how you know if it's done. I should be able to squeeze that together, and it should be able to hold form, which it does. But when you squeeze it together, you shouldn't have butter running out onto your glove or your hand or back into the bowl. It shouldn't be dripping. So we got that done. So now we'll grab, as soon as I pitch my glove here, we'll grab our springform pan. And I don't know why I threw my glove off, because, I'm going to need it for the springform pan. And when I do my graham cracker crust, yeah, depending on who you talk to, depends how you do it. Now, we're going to go ahead and dump it into the springform pan, just like such. And then when I do my graham cracker crust, I've tried to press it down with the bottom of a cup method, and I just don't have a cup that does the job or something, because I can't get it to work. But I have found that it works just as well using my hand. I just put a fair amount of force into it, and we're looking to get a nice clean layer. Now, here's where you have some options. You can, I'll talk quick and then we'll move on. You can run it up the side like I'm doing now, and if you do that, you want to take it up about 1 inch, or you can just leave it flat. There is no rule that says you have to take it up that way. I just know the recipe that I saw, she took it up the side about an inch, and I haven't done that with a pie of any kind or a cheesecake of any kind in a long time. So that is what I'm going to do. I will show you here as soon as I get done. Alright, so we got our pie crust in, and see how I've got it running up the side about an inch. Maybe not quite, and it's not perfectly even. Remember, we're not professionals. We're just people who like to bake, you know, for our family and friends. So it's okay. And even if you are professional, let's just say even if you are making for other people, in my opinion, it's those little things where it's not perfectly even, doesn't look like it was made by a machine, which tells you it was homemade. It was made with love. But anyhow, I digress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for this oven to heat up, right, to 350 degrees, because that's what we got it at. I'm going to put this in the oven for 10 minutes. Once that 10 minutes is up, we will take it out of the oven, take a look at it real quick, and then move on to making the filling. I'm telling you, quick, easy stuff. All right, I'll see you here in just a second. Okay, so our crust just came out of the oven. Or just came out of the oven. The timer just went off, and we got to take our crust out of the oven. And we are there. Bring it down since we got to come down anyhow, so that way we can do some filling. But there we are right there. Yeah, nice and good to go. Now, I will say, the next time I make this, because I make my cheesecakes over and over again, I will probably only go about 9 minutes in the oven. That way we don't get quite as dark around the edges and in the center there. But that's all right. We're still in good shape. Okay. Just got that side out there on the rack, and we are good to go. If you are new, you see my entire kitchen. It's really, really small at the moment, which is why we're remodeling. And so my rack is out in the dining room. But I digress. So moving on to the next thing we need to do is I've got 3 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese at room temperature. That's the important thing. Room temperature. Well, most of the time I set my cream cheese out the night before. Okay? Like right before I go to bed, I'll set it out to warm up. Some people were like, "Oh, Brian, that's, you know, against the rules." No, it's not. Because we're putting it in the oven to bake, so it'll kill off any germs. Your cheesecake has to hit about 190 degrees before it'll set properly, and the worst foodborne illness bacteria you have dies at 190 degrees. So we're going to at least hit 190 degrees in a 325 degree oven. So now that we got our cream cheese in there, I am going to, because that reminded me, take my oven from 350 to 325 and shut that down. So we're at 325 now. That's what we're going to bake our cheesecake at. So 3 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese, room temperature, very important. That makes the smoothest cheesecake. And if it's not room temperature, just wait a little while longer. Put it out first thing in the morning, you know, when you get up. Let it sit for 2-3 hours. To that, our 3 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese, I am going to add, excuse me, some sugar. I'm going to add 1 cup of, is it 1 cup? Sorry, I lost my place. Yeah, it's 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons, 230 grams of sugar. Before I put it in there, though, I am going to take 1 tablespoon, 8 grams of cornstarch, and I'm going to put it in my sugar. Now you're asking yourself, why would you do that? I'll tell you why. It's because cornstarch is sticky business. It likes to clump. It is an absolutely amazing additive to give you stability and firmness, because it thickens. It's a thickener, right? You use it in pies, fruit pies, to make your gel with, you know, that forms in your pies. You get it nice and hot, bubbly, the pies, or if you're making anything, jam, whatever. Cornstarch has no flavor like flour, or instead of flour, but it clumps. So we're going to take our sugar and we're going to mix that in to get it broke up and keep it broke up. The granules of sugar will actually help keep your cornstarch from clumping. Do the same thing with lemon zest if you use it, or lime zest. Got that all mixed up and combined. So now we will take it and we're going to put it in here with our cream cheese. Alright, so now we're at 3 8-ounce blocks, 230 grams of sugar, or 1 cup, 2 tablespoons, and 1 tablespoon, 8 grams of cornstarch in the container. We are there. So now we are going to mix this on low to medium low for about 3 to 5 minutes. So when I come back, we will start adding more ingredients. Alright, see you here in just a second. Alright, so we let that run about 4 or 5 minutes. And the reason why you do that is for, you don't want any lumps. And you don't want to, like little specks are okay. They will bake out, but cream cheese does not like to melt. So it really struggles with it, which is why it's a good base for a cake. But you don't want any big lumps in there. And when you're doing your 3 to 5 minutes on, which is also why you want it as room temperature as it can be. But as you're mixing this up, you do want to stop occasion, scrape the bowl, make sure you don't have any big lumps in there, because you don't want any big lumps. Smooth and creamy is the key to success with cheesecakes. And like I said, they don't take that long. I mean, in reality, other than the 10 minutes that we spent making the crust in the oven, you're looking at another 15 minutes to get a cheesecake together. So we've done that, we've scraped, we're looking creamy. Next thing we want to add is 4 large eggs. Okay, but we're going to do it one at a time. Each egg is 50 grams, that's 200 grams of egg total. And we want to put one in at a time and blend it till mix it till it disappears. We don't want to go above a medium speed though. We don't want to incorporate any more air than we have to into it. So now that we got our eggs in there and nice and incorporated, next thing we'll do, give it a good scrape. Yeah, you'll never be able to scrape enough when it comes to cheesecakes, I promise. We'll get the stuff off of there that didn't quite make it into the batch. Right quick. There we go. Give it a good spin. I mean, if you could see in here, if I'd ever go get my glass bowl, I wish I'd never broke my first one. There are, some white streaks in here. We want to make sure we get those out. Alright, got those out. Or at least all the ones we could see out. I mean, because we're not done mixing, but it's always good to get as much as you can out as you go. So the next things we want to add to this is 2/3 cup, 160 grams of sour cream. Sorry about that. My brain is really stuck on pause today. And we're going to throw that in there, and it's at room temperature. Remember, everything's at room temperature. Cream cheese, sour cream. We're about to throw some heavy cream in here. That too will be at room temperature. So we got our sour cream in there. And then we're going to take our heavy cream, which is 1/3 cup, or 1/3 cup, 80 milliliters of heavy cream. Go ahead and get it, put it in there. Do these 2 at a time now, just like such. And then we're going to mix this until it's incorporated, okay? Which means, it doesn't have to be, it just has to disappear, kind of like the eggs. Okay, got those incorporated. Actually, we don't even have to turn this off. We can leave that running. And the last two things we need to add to this, we're going to put in some lime juice, 1/2 cup, 125 milliliters. And we'll just pour that in kind of slow. There is that. And now, that is key lime juice. Let's get the last ingredient in, and then we'll talk for a second. And then we got some vanilla. I've got 1.5 teaspoons or 6 grams of vanilla I'm going to put in there. And then we'll mix this till it's smooth. Once again, I'm not going to go, in this case, I'm just going to take it up to 2. Now, when it comes to the limes, if key limes aren't always in season depending on where you're at. You know, you may not be able to find them. You can use Persian limes. Most people will recommend fresh lime, you know, fresh squeezed lime juice. They say, oh, don't use the, you know, bottle stuff. I've done both ways. And I, honest to goodness, cannot tell the difference. Nobody I've ever made a key lime pie for has ever known the difference. And I can buy key lime juice all year round. So I buy and use, take that for what it is, bottled key lime juice. So we're going to run this till it's smooth and creamy. So now if you had any lumps left in here, that would be the time that you would get rid of them, right? No rush, just don't keep it any higher than you have to as far as speed goes. That way, because your paddle attachment, that's what it's designed for, is to make things smooth. But it will aerate also if you turn it up too high. So let's go ahead and get this smooth, and then we'll move on to the last thing we need to do before we put it in the pan. All right. So we got that mix smooth and creamy. I got the mixer out of here. Thought I would not bore you with all of that. And I went ahead and got my foil, aluminum foil, very important. Use the wider foil so that way you don't have a seam in it. If you get a seam in it, then you got a chance of getting water into your pan when you're water bathing it, and you end up with a soggy crust. You don't want a soggy crust. So next thing we need to do is just tap this bowl. Now, I've never done this part before. This was new to the instructions to me. But we're going to tap it, and what it's doing is, and I can see it happening. I don't know if you can, well, no, you can't see it here. Let me see if I can lean you down so you can see it. But it's bringing all the air bubbles up to the top. And she said, you know, that you want to do this quite a few times in order to make it, you know, air free, because you don't want air in your cheesecake. It does a couple things. It will cause your cheesecake to crack if they're near the top. It will cause you to have giant pockets. It just, air is never really good. It can cause your cheesecake to be fluffy. And I've had that happen. And that's a weird one. So, we have got this beat on to the counter, very firm. I don't see any more air bubbles coming up, but the fact that there are air bubbles coming up is quite cool. I'm not going to lie. Got that taken care of. So now, all we have left to do is put this in our pan, and we're done. We're ready to eat. I'm just kidding. That would be awesome if it was, though. Have you guys ever had a no-bake cheesecake? I am personally not a huge fan of the no-bakes. I think they take away from something, and they taste more like cream cheese than whatever it is it's trying to represent. I think the cream cheese is overpowering. So, got that poured into the pan. Next thing we need to do is take our cheesecake that is lined with foil, and we're going to stick it in a roasting pan, in my case. When water bathing, it's not hard. There's nothing challenging really about water bathing. And the key to a good cheesecake is, room temperature, cream cheese, but it's cooking it low and slow. That's it. And letting it cool slowly. And you're less likely to crack. Now, I've had plenty crack, and there's always a way around that. But at the same time, this is the best alternative. So, I've got it in my pan. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up our stove, rack in the middle. We're going to put this in there, and you're like, Brian, you didn't put any water in there. You're right. I have not put any water in there yet. I'm going to place that in the center of the rack. I have a pitcher of hot water, and I'm going to pour it in here, and we're going to fill this about halfway up. You want about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water. And this is about a 3-inch pan, or it'll be halfway up the cheesecake. Either way, if you've got a deep pan, you want it about halfway up the cheesecake. Then we got that poured in. We'll set it in there, give it one more good look, make sure we're in good shape. Then we're going to shut the door. right? Boom. We are now in the oven, 325 degrees. So, here's what we're going to do. We are going to set the timer for 60 minutes. Oop. And I think I screwed up. Nope. Okay, we are good. All right, I have set my timer for 60 minutes. Now I am just going to kind of keep an eye on it, sort of. Yeah, I've got the light on, and I'll check it on occasion. But we just want to let it cook. We don't want to open up the oven door. We don't want to, you don't want to do that a whole lot by any means. What that water is doing is it's giving it moisture around, helping it to cook slow and even, and to keep the top moist to help keep it from cracking. So you don't want to open up the door a whole lot, but at about 55 minutes, we even may go all the way to 60. And what we'll do is we'll shake the pan gently and see if the middle is still really wiggly or just slightly jiggly, because it should be set on the edges, right? There should be no movement about 1.5 inches in, 2 inches in. And then the closer you get to the center, it should have a little jiggle to it, just a little bit of jiggle to it. Once we've achieved that, and it may take 65 minutes, it just depends on your oven. Is your 325 really 325? So I'm going to say 60 to 65 minutes on this one is when we should be looking at it. Minimum is 60. I've never seen a cheesecake test take less time than that in my time of doing cheesecakes. So 60 to 65 minutes, I'll check it at 60. If it's done, I'm going to just simply turn the oven off, and I'm going to crack open the door and let it sit there for 30 minutes. So when I come back, we will probably have done those 2 steps, and we'll be ready to take it out of the oven and talk about what all we need to do next. All right, I'll see you here in just a minute. We went ahead and I baked our cheesecake, and it took, let me straighten this up. Looking a little rough there or something. But it actually took me 70 minutes in my oven. I checked it at 60, was still a little too jiggly for my liking. Checked it again at 65, still a little too jiggly, and by 70 it was just right. So let me show you what I was talking about real quick, although it doesn't jiggle anymore, but I can at least point to some things. Alright, so see how it doesn't really jiggle at all now, because it does, but it doesn't. It's been sitting here for a minute. I got sidetracked after I pulled it out. But you want to go from like here to about here should be solid, so that outer edge should be solid, and then it should just wiggle just a little bit in here. And it did. So now what do we do at that point? I did try to shoot video for it, but the video I actually got shot, it wasn't ready yet, so you know how that goes. But anyhow, so what do we do now? Now we just gotta let this thing sit here and cool down completely to room temperature. After that, then we can put it in the fridge, and we're going to put it in the fridge for about 6 to 8 hours. That way it gets nice and solid. So I'm going to let this cool here, then I'll put it in the fridge. When you put it in the fridge, this is important, put some saran wrap, some plastic wrap over the top of it. That way, because if not, this top will dry out, and you don't want that. You don't want it to be dry. You want it to be, as moist as the rest of the cake. So once this gets down to room temp and it's good, I'll go ahead and stick it in the fridge, and then when I come back, we're going to do some whipped topping dollops on it and make it look pretty, and then try a slice. All right, I'll see you here in just a second. All right, so cheesecake's in the fridge. I already got it out of the pan and all that. I figure you know how to take it out of the pan. It's not real hard. Pop the spring form off. Before you do that, run a spatula. Not necessarily an offset, but a regular spatula, around the edge, pop the latch, spring comes off, take it off the bottom pan, put it on a plate, put it back in the fridge. When anything hard, you'll see it here in a second. But now, I want to make the whipped topping to go put on it, so let's go ahead and hop down to the counter, and I'll show you my whipped topping. Alright, hold on for you 1 second. Okay, my whipped topping is pretty straightforward. I don't even remember now where I got this recipe, but I've been using it for 3 years now, at least. So, but I make it on my scale pretty much. I put it together on my scale. Turn my scale on. In my mixing bowl, I have 1/3 of a cup, 66 grams or 67 grams of sugar. To that, I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of cream of tartar, and what that does is it stabilizes the whipped cream so it lasts longer than a day. Most whipped creams, you don't have to make it with the cream of tartar, but it usually starts to break down after a day. This with the cream of tartar, and it will last 3 or 4 days. I've got some heavy whipping cream, and I'm going to put 2 cups in here, or 445 milliliters. Put that in there, which is about a half a container of heavy cream, a half a quart of heavy cream. Get that back in the fridge. And then we'll just go ahead and put it on the stand mixer. You can use a hand mixer for this too. I don't know if you could do it by hand though. Your arms, I think, would get very tired doing this by hand. But it could be done. I mean, they made whipped topping before they had stand mixers, I believe. So all we're going to do is we're going to start this off on about a medium high. And once I get it good and frothy, I'm going to go ahead and add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add my 1 teaspoon of 4 grams of vanilla. Then I'm going to kick this bad boy up to high, and I'm just going to whip it until I get good stiff peaks. All right, we got our topping whipped, and I'll show you what I mean by a stiff peak. If we take our topping, give it a good stir there. See how that just kind of stays up on its own, doesn't fall, none of that. That's what we're looking for. And the cream of tartar, it does 2 things. There you go. It not only does it keep it stable as far as letting it stay longer for more than a day before it starts breaking down, but it won't let you over whip this. If you don't use it, I said you don't have to, but you run the risk of over whipping it, and then it starts to turn to butter. Because heavy whipping cream is nothing more than the beginning stages of butter. So what we're going to do, if you'd like to see how to make that, my youngest daughter actually has a video on this channel on how to make butter from heavy whipping cream. And it's the coolest video ever. She's very proud of it. I'm very proud of it. That's awesome. But now we're just going to put this in a piping bag right quick. All right, got our pie, our cake. There we are right there. I know you're thinking to yourself, man, that doesn't look like a lot of cheesecake on top. Remember? Up an inch on the sides. It's all inside of it. And I think it looks fantastic. So what we're going to do is we'll take our topping and we're just going to make dollops on top. You don't have to do this. You could serve it just like without the dollops and serve the whipped topping on the side. You could just take the whipped topping and put it on there, you know, and make it nice and fluffy. But I wanted to do dollops. That was what I envisioned in my mind. Now I'm just using a star tip, nothing fancy. And then any whipped topping we have left, we can put in a bowl and serve it on the side. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these done on here, and when I get back, we'll take a look at it and try a piece. All right, I'll see you here in a second. All right, we got our whipped topping on there. I think it looks cool. Now you could, if you have a lime laying around, you could zest it, put the zest on top of that. I even saw some people that did a combination of strawberries. Didn't put as much whipped topping on, but did a combination of strawberries or raspberries and lime wedges and twists, and got real fancy with it. I'm not working that hard. I want to enjoy it, you know, in the process. And I think this looks gorgeous in itself. So now it's time to give her a cut and see how we did. That side, get this side. That is one big piece. If I needed anything quite this large, that's all right. Once again, I'm telling you, I am horrible with that first piece thing. We'll go ahead and get the rest of the piece out there. If they ever needed me to cut a first piece for a photo shoot, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. But, wipe off the edge there. There is our cheesecake on the inside. I think it looks really good. I mean, really, really good. And there is our first piece. Now, I can tell you when it comes to cheesecakes, and I really should have done it myself, if I would have warmed the knife to cut through it both times, on each side, so to speak, it would have turned out, yeah, probably a little cleaner. But, I mean, not that it turned out bad now, by any means. But we are going to give this beauty a shot all the same. Because I have been waiting forever for this cheesecake. All day, as a matter of fact. I've been thinking about it for a couple days. Even when I was doing the butter pecan cake. That is awesome. It tastes just like a key lime pie. I mean, no doubt. Key lime pie. It has a slight pucker factor, which you want in a key lime pie. Key lime pies are supposed to be sour. But it's not overbearing. And it's got just the right amount of sweetness. Especially with that whipped topping on top. I would definitely call this a winner. I mean, hands down. And even though that filling is not fluffy, it is dense, but it's so smooth. So smooth. It's almost like eating a silk pie. And it just, I don't even know how to explain it. That, my friends, is amazing. You need to give this one a try. Especially if you're into cheesecakes and you like key lime pies. Because that is the most beautiful combination of both. Alright, hands down. That is a great, great cake. So, let me know if you do try this. Just leave me down a comment down below or find us on Facebook at Mr. Smith's Kitchen, like I said in the beginning. Either way. And let us know if you made this. Let me know if you've been making it. And maybe you try to do something a little different. That would be kind of fun to know. Either way. But I really think you should give this recipe a try. Yeah, I guarantee you won't be disappointed. So next week, I really don't know what we're going to do for dinner. I want to tell you, I don't even know for sure what we're going to do for dessert. If I get my laptop back and up and running, you guys will get to see that butter pecan cake. But if not, I don't know yet. I don't know. That is so next week, and I haven't gotten that far into my schedule yet. So, but until then, I love you, and I love you very much. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I really do, with the utmost sincerity. You guys are amazing, and I never take you for granted. Tell somebody else you love them. You love them very much. They may need to hear that, and it's going to make their day a whole lot better. It's going to make you feel a whole lot better to tell them that. And if you're making one of these key lime cheesecakes, I guarantee they're going to know you love them. And it'll give you something to sit down and have conversation over. All right? So until next week, I love you. I'll see you then. Talk to you later. Bye.